Hey, what's up guys? How you guys doing? Hope you're having a good afternoon today. Today we're going to be reviewing a special game for the Sega Genesis. And what makes it so special? Well, that's a good question. That's a good fucking question. Well, it never got released here. Yeah, I know, not physically anyway. Instead, you needed the Sega channel. You see that online gaming was a thing, Google Stadia claiming to be so revolutionary. Here comes the Sega Genesis. They're like, I'm here first, I claim the spot. And the game we're going to be talking about is Mega Man The Wily Wars. You're familiar with the first three Mega Man games, right? Pretty much just bona fide classics. They're great games. Well, these are remasters, 16-bit Genesis remasters of the first three Mega Man titles, which sounds like a really cool idea, and it was really cool. This is a pretty cool game, but, it didn't do everything great. Anyway, we're basically going to be reviewing the first three Mega Man games here. They're going to be short reviews. I'm not going to go in depth on all of these Mega Man games, just give you a rundown, some complaints, some things that I liked. And, we're going to start off with the first Mega Man. This one's kind of a controversial game in the series. Mega Man, he was a little slippery, he was slipping on some lube, just got done jerking off, he stands up and he falls over. Goddamn clumsy bastard, right? He was a little bit slippery in the NES version. Did they fix that here? Well, kind of, sort of, There's also some other complaints, that was of course the big one, there are also minor side stuff, like, I don't know, the game's hard as fuck, some bullshit level design here, platforms that move randomly and also shoot, and no invincibility frames for spikes, random stuff like that. There's also some more unique aspects of Mega Man 1 that, the series tradition, of course, was to fight 8 robot masters and then move on to Dr. Wily's castle. In this game, there's only 6. You get 6 robot masters, and then boom, you go to Dr. Wily. You still get the weapons of every robot master. They didn't really get the hang of it in this game. For example, Bomb Man's weapon. It's a complete hunk of junk. What a piece of shit. You throw a bomb, and it doesn't explode on contact. Instead, it sits there. It has to take its time. It's gonna go make itself a cup of coffee and, sit there and enjoy, I don't know, a nice game of baseball before it decides to blow up. And it takes absolutely forever. You also got Gutsman's weapon, which is, well, you can occasionally throw some rocks. Pretty cool shit. Revolutionary game design. And another thing that was introduced later in the series, such as Rush. You guys are familiar with Rush? Well, in this game, you get a gun that shoots platforms that flicker like crazy. So it's like kind of translucent almost. And this thing's really cool though. This is like way better than Rush could ever be. You just generate a platform to walk across any obstacles. It's pretty cool. Of course, you got the cool weapons in Mega Man as well, like Electman's beam. That one's a nice little spread gun, shoots up, down, forward. You also got Fireman's weapon, which creates a nice shield. But overall, though, you might still struggle even with the cool weapons, because Mega Man's no joke. They throw a lot of bottomless pits at you. There's also invisible blocks here in Electman's stage, which are super annoying. You gotta memorize them, and you might just fall down and get blasted by these guys coming out of the ceiling. Dr. Wily Stage 1 is perhaps the most annoying level in the game, as there are sections where you need to freeze this fire rising up, and you gotta be perfect about this. You can't make a single mistake here. You gotta get a perfectly timed shot to destroy and freeze all these fire blocks rising up from the ground. Like I mentioned before, there's also these platforms that move randomly. You basically need the beam that shoots platforms, otherwise you're not going to do so well here. It's going to be pure luck, which is bullshit. The bosses were also a little bit hit or miss in this one. Some of the robot masters were kind of weak. Iceman, he just literally stands there and shoots. He doesn't move hardly. He has the same exact attack pattern. The only gimmick they'll throw at you is that he does an insane amount of damage, but he's incredibly weak to the elect beam. You could kill him in 2 to 3 shots, so I guess it goes both ways. He's incredibly easy with the weakness. In fact, all of these robot masters are absolutely pathetic as long as you have the weakness. And if you don't, then it's a complete opposite for a lot of them. So they kind of limit you a little bit on the order you can do. Not as much as some of the Mega Man games, but I swear some of these guys are damn near impossible without their weakness weapons. Like Elect Man here, which he does insane damage, but also he's fast as fuck too. Clone Mega Man was a cool idea. Wasn't a perfect execution, but it wasn't a bad idea or anything. It just was. It could have been a little better. He does copy your weapon though, so there is a little bit of strategy on how to fight this dude. I personally use Fireman's weapon, but I don't know, you can go any way on this one for the most part, as long as you're not throwing fucking bombs, which will take a moment, you know, like I said, get a cup of coffee, fucking jerk their dick off, and finally blow up after about 5 minutes. The hardest boss in Mega Man is definitely the Yellow Devil. This guy's a big motherfucker, but in the NES version you could just pause and unpause and the elect beam would continue to hit him. I don't remember if they included this in the Genesis version. I think it might have been omitted actually. But without using that strategy, he was really tough. He's a tough bastard, you know, he's getting into the salty spittoon here. Anyway, you beat Dr. Wily, he goes down. Not a super difficult boss or anything, but that kind of concludes Mega Man. It's not a bad game or anything like that. It's got some ups, it's got some downs. I actually prefer this one over, I'd say it's more of the middle for me. I like this one over 6, and probably even 5 too. I think, you know, the Boostin' Challenge was a welcome surprise, you know. As you'll see in the next 2 games, you know, things weren't actually that difficult, which I guess for NES is a breath of fresh air. But for Mega Man, you know, you go in, you beat 2 and 3, and then you go to 1, and it absolutely spanks your ass. But how is this game on the Genesis? And that question is answered with a simple, it's mostly the same. This is basically the same exact game. It looks marginally better. I mean, it is technically 16-bit. Things run a little bit smoother overall, but when the slowdown does kick in, it's bad. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the pause trick was omitted for the Yellow Devil, but you won't even need it here because he's like twice as slow. He's not as bad in the Genesis version, which is a real question mark for me. The Genesis had a fast goddamn processor, and here it is getting its ass handed to it by the NES. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Mega Man 1, it's a fine game. I think you should go play it. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but we're going on to the so-called masterpiece that is Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2 upped the ante on everything. Better level design, better bosses, well, for the most part. There's 8 robot masters this time around. The weapons were cooler and bigger, and Dr. Wily's back. He's here to kick some Blue Bomber asshole. He's gonna go fist Mega Man. This time around, there's 8 new weapons to play around with, and also there's brand new items, like Item 1, and Item 2, and Item 3. Item 1 is a platform that just slowly ascends. Item 2 is a rocket that propels you forward. You can go zooming with this thing. And Item 3 just bounces. It's amusing, I guess. Not very useful, but it's fun to watch. The weapons were also made quite a lot more interesting in this one. For example, Quickman has a quick boomerang with a short range, but with a lot of firepower as it shoots super fast. It's also the first, and I believe only, automatic weapon in Mega Man. You got Flashman's weapon, which was a very cool idea, maybe not executed great, but it was a cool idea nonetheless. Basically, you can stop time with it. You can't deactivate it until the weapon bar depletes, and also it doesn't last a very long time, and you can't attack, so it's kind of situational, which is a damn shame. They did it better in later games, but this one was still a nice idea to start with. But by far the most notable weapon in Mega Man 2 is the Metal Blades. They're overpowered. In Mega Man 1, it was one step. You know, you beat one Robot Master, you have one weakness. One of them is weak to that weapon. In 2, you get Metal Blades, and you can take down 4 Robot Masters. That's right, 4 of these motherfuckers are weak to the Metal Blade. I don't know what they were thinking. It's so overpowered. You can aim it in all directions. It has so much goddamn ammo. It's like replacing your Mega Buster, because you can pick up ammo so easily in this game too. You don't have to worry about that shit. And that is a big complaint, but this thing's fun as fuck. I'm not gonna lie, I use the Metal Blades. They're fun. Anyway, you take down all the Robot Masters, bust out Hank Hill's circular saw, chuck them at some Robot Masters. And then you go to Dr. Wily's castle, which I think it's kind of where things take a little dip for me. Like, for example, in the first stage here, they have you use item 1, and it's the most annoying shit trying to balance where to put in item 1 and make it to the other ladder. It's so annoying. And then you have the dragon, which can easily just knock you off these one-block platforms. It's bullshit. I don't like it. But then, you get into Wily Castle later, and you find the turret boss. You need Crash Bomb for this one. And you blow up the walls, and then you shoot the turrets. The only thing that will work is Crash Bomb. And it is so easy to run out of ammo with this fucking thing. You miss one shot, and that's basically it. You're done. You have to restart. And grinding in this level is a pain in the ass, because the only enemies near the door are these big, tanky Sniper Joe machines that do a shit ton of damage. I'm not kidding here. If I lose this fight, I reset the game. I'm serious. It's the worst part of Mega Man 2. No doubt in my mind. I don't know what the developers were doing. They just snorted a line of cocaine and said, let's make the worst video game boss fight ever. And they did. They went out and did it. This boss fight is like carpet. But, you know, whatever. You beat that. This game has the boss rush room where you step into teleporters and refight all of the old bosses. They had this in Mega Man 1, but it was spread out over each Wily Castle stage. Here they just throw everything at you all at once. You take that down, and then boom, you're onto Wily. Wily's not too bad. Use Metal Blade or Crash Bomb, and you're basically all set. You also have E-Tanks too if you didn't game over. You lose your E-Tanks if you game over in this one. You can also only hold 4, fun fact. So they kind of limited the E-Tanks on you in Mega Man 2. But he's not so bad. You drop into a pit. You dodge some hydrofluoric acid. He had that laying around. Dr. Wily's melting bodies, Breaking Bad style. But anyway, you walk through and dodge the acid drops. And Wily transforms into an alien. He actually becomes an Alex Jones conspiracy theory, like the Lizard Men. But then you kill him and you realize it was all just a hoax, you know. It was actually just a machine, and he's controlling the machine. And I guess he had no backup plan. He had no escape route, so he gives up. You walk home. You get to view all the seasons. And that's it. That's Mega Man 2. And while this game isn't perfect, might be even a tad overrated, I still fucking love this game. It's like unpolished, but polished at the same time. It's rather difficult to explain this one. Some parts absolutely blow, and some parts are great. And even some of the worst aspects, like how the Metal Blades are so overpowered, that's fun. They're fun to use. How can I complain that much when they're so fun to use? So, Mega Man 2, On the Genesis, well, what can I say? It's the same game. Take it what you will. It's the same video game. Slowdown can be a little bit worse. The graphics are better. We'll get to the music at the end of this review, but Mega Man 2, it's basically the same game. On Genesis, they force you into hard mode, so if you're a pussy boy and want to play on easy, this is not the one for you. But other than that, it's the same exact game as the NES one, just on hard mode. Anyway, on to Mega Man 3. This one used to be my favorite. Well, it was also my first Mega Man too, but I thought it was so cool that you could do some sliding and all that super cool shit like that. Mega Man was cool. He's sliding now. Another thing they added was Rush. Isn't that cool? You get a dog. You get your Mega Man's best friend, his dog, and he helps you out with, well, he basically replaces all the items, except the Rush Jet, which is basically, it's, well, you just get to fly. It's limited in ammo, but it's overpowered as fuck. You can skip any platforming obstacle. They ended up nerfing it in the later games. There's also Rush Marine, which sucks absolute balls. There's maybe a few uses for it, and even then I rarely even bother. So I probably don't even have footage for this motherfucker. Excuse me on that one. Things are feeling a little bit similar to Mega Man 2 overall though. Like I said, 8 Robot Masters are back, and then there's Dr. Wily. Right? You'd think so. One new addition to the gameplay is that you might see Proto Man every once in a while. He kinda hops around like a Girl Scout about to sell you some cookies, and occasionally shoots his Nerf gun, but you know, he's an easy fight. The Robot Masters are quite a bit harder than in Mega Man 2. We're back to the only, like, one weapon has one weakness. You know, it's used for one Robot Master, unlike the Metal Blades, which could kill 4 of them. The weapons feel a little bit more balanced too, such as, you know, Magnet Missile has homing properties, Hard Knuckle does a lot of damage. Not all of them were great, I guess. Some of them were a little bad, like the top spin. Yeah, well, we won't talk about that. I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to say that in this state. The boss fights themselves were quite a big improvement. Like I said, they were harder, but they also have more, I guess, engaging attack patterns. You could also start with quite a few more Robot Masters if you're pretty good, unlike Mega Man 1. For example, I could start with Top Man and then go get the Shadow Blades right afterwards. It takes a little longer to get something you actually will use, but you get one of the best weapons in the game. You could also start with Magnet Man and get a really nice weapon right off the bat, or get Snake if you want a nice challenge and get an okay weapon. Maybe not my favorite start per se, but you know, it's good to mix things up. Of course, some of the bosses are, you know, not going to be very easy, not very doable with the Mega Buster, but it's a lot more fair than, say, Elecman. They're not going to take 1/3 of your life bar away or anything like that, so you won't have to worry about that. Anyway, you beat the Robot Masters, and then boom, you know, you're ready to go take on Dr. Wily, right? Well, actually, no. In fact, they make you replay the same stages, only slightly altered. Maybe they'll add a couple of spikes or some bullshit like that, and they have you refight the bosses from Mega Man 2, except they're way more bullshit because their hitboxes are much bigger. And some of their attacks, I swear, they're different, man. They also have different weaknesses too, which you have to figure the fuck out for yourself. And the checkpoints are also a lot less forgiving. For example, there's 2 bosses on each of these new stages, and if you die on the first one, you go back to the beginning. There's no checkpoint right before. Instead, the checkpoint is afterwards, which is fucking trash. I hate these stages. I don't want to play the same stages over again. It was clearly a pad for time. Just a trash idea. You don't get new weapons either. You didn't get... That would have been so fucking epic, though, if they gave you the weapons from Mega Man 2. That would have been awesome, but I don't think they could fit that. But they could fit this absolute garbage. And this is the reason why I don't consider 3 my favorite. It had such a good start, and they kind of botched it a little bit. And they continue to do that into the Wily stages. So the Wily stages, oh boy, oh man, these are some of the easiest goddamn stages in Mega Man. They're so easy, they're easier than the Robot Master stages. And you know, they throw you like E-Tank on E-Tank and Extra Life on Extra Life. They're throwing these items at you like you're at a fucking strip club throwing some Benjamins at a stripper. So they kinda goofed a little bit. They brought back the Yellow Devil. He's not as hard this time around. So it's whatever. You also have like 9 E-Tanks now. That's right, they boosted the E-Tank count to 9. And you also don't lose your E-Tanks when you get a game over. So the E-Tanks were buffed as well. Maybe if they were Mega Man 2 style, I could see throwing like 1 or 2 per level, I guess. I mean, you can only hold 4. So it's like, whatever, you know, you get a maximum of 4, but this time they bump it up to 9. So you can like hoard these things and then just spam them on bosses, making them challengeless. The bosses, the Robot Master refights are way harder than Dr. Wily himself. You make it to fucking Wily and he's like in this big Gutsman style machine, and the top spin, the fucking top spin kills him in 1 hit. I mean, first you had Mega Man 2 with the alien, where the only weapon that would work on him is bubbles, but now you throw a goddamn Beyblade at him and he dies in 1 hit. I'm just so pissed off. Mega Man 3 could have been perfect. It was awesome. You had the slide. The Robot Master stages were epic. This might be my favorite soundtrack in the series too. It was awesome. And then they came in and fucked it up. The middle and end, it was just it was so downhill. They just messed it up at the end. That's my opinion. I'm going too hard on it. I think there are some awesome parts of Mega Man 3. I love Rush. Great addition. The slide was amazing. The weapons were nice and balanced. They were useful for the most part. The boss fights were good in the first half of the game, but then they came in and ruined it. So if you want to play Mega Man 3, if you're doing like a repeat playthrough, do yourself a favor and just play the Robot Masters, and then maybe stop. I don't know, why would you play the poopy stages, right? And the Genesis version, I have no comment on this one. It's the same game basically. It's the same exact stuff I was saying for Mega Man 1 and 2. There is no difficulty changer on this one, so it's not forcing you into a hard mode or anything like that. The music, I think this is a good time to talk about the music. We're at the very end. The music is actually pretty good in the Genesis versions. Some people say it's not so hot. I like the Genesis versions, and on some occasions I like it more than the NES tunes. Of course, these soundtracks are classic, but the Genesis didn't do a bad job. It's not farts. Genesis was better than that, and they did pretty good on this system. So you might be thinking that's it. We covered the first 3 Mega Man games. Well, what's left? And that's a good question. There is one thing left. Wily Tower. You never heard of Wily Tower? Well, it's basically a brand new spanking Mega Man game. That's pretty cool, right? Well, there's 3 Robot Masters this time around. I don't believe they give you weapons either. And then you have Wily Tower itself. There's brand new music, brand new boss fights. I believe there's new enemies as well. But the coolest thing about this was that you could choose what weapons to bring. You had the entire cast of weapons from Mega Man 1 to 3, and you could take any weapon you want. Go Metal Blade, plus Shadow Blade, plus Top Spin, and plus that fucking bomb from Mega Man 1. Join in and watch the baseball game with it. I'm done repeating that joke, by the way. That's the last time I'll repeat the bomb joke. You could do so many combos with this. It was such a cool idea. The music, like I already mentioned, its new tracks, they are spanking sweet. Up to par with the first 3 Mega Man games. And while it is short, you gotta try it out. I'd pick it up just for this collection because other than that, the games are similar. They look better. They sometimes run better, sometimes run worse. But this is all new original. You're not going to see this on the NES games. So when reviewing this, I'm basically just reviewing all 3 Mega Man games. And there's really not much to complain about. Mega Man is a fantastic series. I love Mega Man. It has its faults, and even though I complain about 3 a lot, probably more than I should have, I still like 3 a lot. I still think it's a great game. I just think they fucked up near the end a little bit. So, the first 3 Mega Man games are classic. The Genesis versions are good. They are perfectly solid ports of the first 3 Mega Man games. Wily Tower was a really nice addition. Overall, I'm giving this one a 9. I think some slowdown, I don't think that should have happened. I don't think they mastered the Genesis hardware, I guess, because the Genesis could do a lot more. It could run a lot more stuff than the NES, so there was no excuse there. But the graphics are nicer. The music was just as good, in my opinion. It is up to taste. Some people said the controls were worse. I don't see where that's coming from, but whatever. This is still a great collection. Anyway, giving this one a 9. Mega Man, you gotta play Mega Man. Go try out Mega Man. Check out the Wily Wars, it's cool. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see ya next video.